The first sign that something was profoundly, cosmically wrong with my cat, Mittens, was when I found him floating 6 inches above the sofa. He wasn't levitating in a dramatic superhero pose kind of way. He was just napping, supremely comfortable, one paw draped over his eyes, purring contentedly as he gently bobbed in the afternoon sunbeams. I dropped my grocery bag. A potato rolled across the floor. Mittens? One green eye cracked open. He looked at me, then down at the cushion he was decidedly not touching, and then back at me with an expression that clearly said, "And you're blocking my sun." He then proceeded to perform a slow, lazy mid-air roll onto his back, his fluffy belly exposed to the ceiling. This was the beginning of my new reality. I, Elara, a perfectly ordinary graphic designer who considered remembering to water her ferns a major weekly achievement, was the owner of a cat who was clearly a demigod. The powers started small, or at least small in the grand, reality-bending scheme of things. He'd stare intently at a closed cupboard door, and it would creak open to reveal the bag of premium tuna treats. I'd chalk it up to a draft. He'd be in the living room 1 second and curled up on my pillow the next without ever having passed me in the hallway. I'd blame my own distractibility. Mittens developed a very specific emotional palette that directly influenced the microclimate of our apartment. Contentment brought a warm, golden glow to the rooms, like perpetual sunrise. Annoyance, usually when I was late with dinner, caused a faint, chilly draft to coil around my ankles. And his purr was no longer just a sound. It was a vibration that seemed to recharge my phone, make my wilting plants perk up, and once, I swear, fix the flickering light bulb in the kitchen. I, meanwhile, had exactly one power: the ability to find the exact moment to say the wrong thing in any social situation. It was not a marketable skill. The real turning point was the night of the attempted break-in. I was asleep when I heard the distinct sound of a window being jimmied open in the living room. Fear, cold and sharp, shot through me. I fumbled for my phone, my heart hammering against my ribs. Before I could even dial, a low, guttural sound echoed through the apartment. It wasn't a hiss. It was a primordial rumble, the sound of a mountain waking up. I crept to my door and peeked through the crack. Mittens was on the back of the sofa, silhouetted against the streetlight-lit window. His fur was standing on end, but not in a scared way. He looked larger. His tail was lashing, and with every sweep, the shadows in the room twisted and deepened, stretching into impossible, menacing shapes. The intruder, a hulking figure, had one leg through the window. He froze. Mittens opened his mouth, and that rumble intensified. And then, the man's flashlight, a heavy, metal tactical one, wrenched itself from his grip, spun in midair, and pointed directly at his face, blinding him. Mittens let out a short, sharp row. That sounded like a command. The books on my shelf rattled. A dozen pens lifted from my desk, orienting themselves like tiny missiles aimed at the intruder's torso. That was enough. The man yelped, scrambled backward out the window, and fell into the bushes with a crash before fleeing down the street, screaming about demon cats. I sank to the floor, trembling. Mittens hopped down from the sofa, his form shrinking back to its usual fluffy, harmless self. He padded over to me, head-butted my knee, and let out a questioning chirp as if to say, "All sorted. Where's my breakfast? It's 3 a.m., but I believe I've earned it. I was saved by my cat, who was apparently a master of telekinesis, shadow manipulation, and psychological warfare. The next day, I looked at him napping in a perfect sunbeam he had somehow intensified into a near-solid bar of light. A profound sense of inadequacy washed over me. This creature could bend reality to his will, command shadows, and control the very atmosphere. He was a tiny, furry god napping on my IKEA rug. And what could I do? I could pay taxes. I could make a decent lasagna. I could use the correct there in a sentence. I sighed, feeling utterly powerless. It's just not fair, Mittens. You get all the cool abilities. He opened one eye, regarded my pathetic human form, and then did something extraordinary. He hopped down, trotted over to where I was slumped on the floor, and climbed into my lap. He began to purr, that deep, reality-mending vibration thrumming through me. The anxiety melted away. The feeling of inadequacy dissolved, replaced by a warm, profound sense of peace and well-being. His power wasn't levitation or telekinesis. Those were just parlor tricks. His true power, his purpose, was far greater. He had the power to make me feel safe. He had the power to turn a lonely apartment into a home filled with golden light. He had the power to silence my anxious thoughts with a single, comforting headbutt. He had the power to choose me every single day to be his person. He looked up at me, and his gaze seemed to hold the wisdom of ages. "Silly human," it said. "You have the most important power of all. You have the power to open the cans." I laughed, scratching behind his ears. He was right. My power was different. It was the power of provision, of love, of creating a sanctuary for a tiny god to feel safe enough to nap in midair. He has more powers than I do, it's true, but I'm the only one he uses them for. And that, perhaps, is the greatest magic of all.